the countries. And I said, there is. Just look it up. Blah, 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 blah. And she says, well, we can't control how much money the government gives other countries. And I said, but we can. And she said, not without overthrowing the government. And it's interesting because that's a general program, right? People think that the only way you can fix things is if you overthrow the government. And then when you hear overthrow the government, you like picture, you know, it's nighttime, people are throwing bottles and rocks and fires everywhere. And, it's like it all just sort of like it's already this pre-program in your head.
Well, even if it was organized revolution, still can go in there, get rid of those people. I mean,
Yeah,
it's going to be a
there's,
big bloody nightmare.
I don't think so.
It would have to be.
Mm-mm. It depends on how it's done. But
You'd be killing police officers, Secret Service agents. It's a big
well,
deal.
but that's just it. That's where it's a different thing. That's where you have to understand, like,
And then who puts who in power, and how does that all work out?
I mean, these are all things that need to be worked out, no doubt, no doubt. You can't. You have to redo the system. But it's like I've always said, women are the key. All those Secret Servicemen, police officers, military, all of them. They as much as they're brainwashed this way or that way, their women can still get to them. And if the women, if the wives, if the mothers, if the daughters start saying, hey, we don't want you to put down your guns. We need you. You are the protectors. Your job is a protection of us. So while you're getting shipped off, say you live in Michigan, and they ship you off to California to go round up a bunch of people, put them in camps, well, people who look just like you will be rounding us up. So we need you to stay home and turn your guns outward. And that, again, it's you have to provide people with better, but you also it takes truth. It takes the truth as to who built all that shit. Isn't it funny how in the middle of all those big square ugly buildings, there's this one Greek looking building? Johnny Day. Swell, thanks. How are you? But like it's just think about it. Think about this. Think about how much you sort of resisted what I'm doing. Like the other night with Daisy was really kind of shocking for me because you don't say those things. And it's like you don't want to believe what I say. But access to the truth and it constantly being something where it's like the submarines. You expected me to fall on my face. I'm not saying it negatively. You expected me to fall on my face. Submarines aren't real. Come on, that's fucking stupid.
Well, I thought you were saying the ships didn't exist. The ships exist. Whether they
Even
do what they
you
tell us,
you
that's
didn't
what's
you
in
didn't
question.
question whether they could go underwater and shit like that. You never thought about that. And again, it's not a bad thing. It's nothing to defend. I'm just saying you can want it to be stupid. Like you're an idiot. Of course submarines are real, blah blah blah. But then when I'm like, okay, here, 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 look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this story. It doesn't matter how much she wants to not believe it. She's too smart. I mean, it's what it is. When you're shown the truth, you don't unsee it. Once that truth breaks through the barrier, that's it. There's no way you go back to it. That's why when people say, "Oh, I was an atheist and I became a Christian," I don't buy it. I don't buy it. You know, the idea that you could not believe in that silly, dumb, horrible nonsense. She's kind of hot. She looks familiar. Who does she look like? Trump Jr. 2028. Boy, are you stupid? Can you imagine that?
Oh my God, no way.
But I mean, again,
I knew somebody that was an atheist that turned born again Christian. It was the wrestler I went to school with.
yeah, but he wasn't.
Partier.
But he wasn't an atheist, right? He wasn't somebody who
Claimed he was.
Right, of course he claimed he was. He was
God, and he would make fun of him.
but he was just somebody struggling with it, I'm sure. And yet when the darkest times would happen, he's a guy who, you know, when nobody's looking, he's praying and whatnot. And I mean,
something happened. Nobody knows what happened. All of a sudden, overnight, he came and it was like, wouldn't drink, didn't eat anything bad, born again Christian, all about Jesus.
I mean, again, I think like we're talking about something that's like 30 years ago. So memory.
Is the dog outside? It's raining.
Is the dog outside? Thank you. You know, it's difficult because the arrogance that we all have, it's put on us. We're supposed to think this way, is that we remember everything perfectly, and we don't. So whether it was overnight or it was a period or what, but something happened. So you would think, like it's strange how the atheist who becomes the Christian isn't running around telling everybody about the magical experience they had.
Something happened over spring break. We got back from spring break and he was all about Jesus. And he went to South Padre with, the cool crew and fucking partied it up. So I don't know. Maybe he got alcohol poisoning and saw Jesus. I don't know.
Maybe he got raped. But see again, but that's what I mean. Why wouldn't you talk about it?
Well, Mike was weird to begin
You
with.
have a come to Jesus experience and you're not sharing it with the world?
Very quiet and shy. So that part didn't really surprise anybody. It was very weird.
Yeah, so again, that's not somebody that's a good example, especially somebody that's not going to tell you about
He's the
it.
only atheist I knew that ever turned to Jesus.
Right, and for some reason he didn't tell you, and blah 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 blah.
He tell anybody.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's not how you do things. I mean, look at your average Trump supporter, right?
I mean, but afterwards he would, people would say something and he would, say, well, you have Jesus by your side.
Whatever. Again, he's not telling you the thing, though.
No.
And it's the same thing with Trump supporters, right? You ask the Trump supporters why they support Trump, and they're going to give you a couple of, boilerplate sort of responses, but ask them to elaborate on it at all, they got nothing. Now, somebody yesterday said, well, I don't support Trump and blah, 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 but it's undeniable that life was so much better when he was in office. What are you talking about? For who? Who?
For us.
For who? It's like you've completely forgotten 2016 Me Too, Epstein, COVID. Like, I don't know why Trump, when I was talking to Paul the other day, I said something about COVID, and he was like, no, that was Biden. I said, dude, no, it was 2019, 20, yeah, that was Trump. Trump did that. No, it was Biden. It was all Biden. Like,
you know why people forget all that?
Because they want to.
No, they got money. They got that incentive money. So life was better. They got money. They don't realize they're paying the shit back now.
Life wasn't better. For a minute there, you might have gotten a little bit of money for not working. Sure. I mean, that's just selfish bullshit. Like, that's not life being better. Yeah, you didn't have to work and you got paid for it. Well, how'd that work out?
You get your big TV, but now you can barely afford your groceries. Good job. Life is so much better.
But it's that same, like, that stupidity and that, like, people don't get, like, Interestingly, you know, with presidents, it's like the first 4 years you're sort of riding the coattails of the previous 4 years, and then the second 4 years is when they do their own thing because there's no consequences or anything like that. And it's like you Trump's 4 years was after Obama's 8. And Obama really like that presidency was good for the country. Do I believe Obama is a good guy? No, I don't give a shit.
They're all bad at that.
Right. They're all
That
pieces of
position.
shit on that level. Obama's
He
the
might have been the
worst or
lesser of
second
evils.
worst president of all time, depending on where you rank Monsanto Protection Act versus, all the Israel stuff. I mean, it's like neck and neck, but Obama signed the Monsanto Protection Act. That's just insane. That's and it never gets brought up. You never hear all the smart Trump supporters who hate Obama bring that part up. They'll bring up the Fast and Furious bullshit. They'll bring up, his wife being a tranny. I mean, literally, that's sort of the lasting negative uh, narration that surrounds Obama. When you talk about when you talk to like Trump supporters or Obama haters, whatever, usually the Michelle being a man thing comes up first. And it's like that has nothing to do with anything.
With anybody's
If it came
ability.
out that Obama was gay and that she was actually a man, that literally wouldn't change anything.
That would be a feather in the gay community's cap because he did do better for the country than the other presidents.
Left versus right is Hegelian dialect. Exactly. It's it's it's
Created.
it's a creation. I mean, I always say the same thing. They're telling you we're gonna slap you in the face with the left or right hand, and you think you're smart because you ask, well, what hand are you? What hand do you write with? And they, oh, I write with the right hand. And you're like, well, I bet you can't slap as hard with the left, so I'm going to pick the left. Look how smart I am. It's fucking stupid. You're just stupid. I just don't. And this is really my look at this. Look at these ugly Jews over and over again. These two guys, let's put these two guys on TV, right? Good looking men there.
That one guy's from Avatar. That's where he's from.
Yep. I mean, this is like that's what I keep saying. Why do you believe what you believe? Does anybody ask themselves that? You know, especially all of you haters out there. You hate this, you hate that, gay people this, trans that, women this. Like I when it comes to my thing, like people would say I hate women because I don't think men, I don't see us as physically equal. I don't. I think the WNBA is a fucking joke. It's a fucking joke.
That's harsh.
It's okay. So what do you do when you watch the WNBA?
I
Do
don't
you
watch it.
when I make you watch it? Do you go, oh wow,
No.
oh damn, wow, that was awesome? Or do you go, oh my god? What do you do? A or B?
Of course, B.
B. So it's a joke. It's a joke.
It's not a joke. Those women work really.
Somebody says go to church. Aren't you supposed to be at church right now?
Right.
This is the Sunday morning mass, old
Go
baby.
pay your money.
You won't get much closer to God than this.
Better go pay your money.
People believe what they believe because they were told to believe. So X, Y, to some degree, but it's much more about your own personal wants. You believe what you want to believe because you're told multiple things. But when you look around and you see what everybody else believes, and you weigh the options of this or that, your parents have told you this, and if you believe otherwise, your parents are gonna get mad at you. And
You have to remember, though, too, you're coming from the perspective of a free thinker.
yeah,
And
but I wasn't that way. I wasn't I
You always question stuff.
right, but I also had a family that my mom and dad didn't, but
Right.
my family around me did, and everybody around me pushed it on me hard. I used to have this friend over at Omi's house. Um, and it's interesting too because this is so they were the Actons. Stephen Acton was the boy's name. I don't remember anything else, but you know, they lived on the. If you're standing in front of Omi's house and you go like 3 houses up to the right, there's that court that went in and came back out. They lived at that big house on the. And then I remember when that house was built. I used to play all in the construction equipment and all that shit when they were building that house. So these people came and they had 2 sons. They were like a little one was like a year or two younger than me, and then one was like 2 years younger than me, something like that. And I used to hang out there all the time. It was nice. There were finally little boys in the neighborhood that were close to my age because that neighborhood was full of girls. And so she was this blonde lady, and she was fucking huge. She was one of those probably like volleyball player chicks, but she was like, she might have been 6 feet tall. I don't know. Probably not, but she was just like this big grimace. She had that grimace shape. She was just huge. And the dad was like this total like mean but square type of guy. Like it was just interesting. And I remember, I don't know, I was like 11 or something like that, and they we went to Bablo Island, and we had went on a roller coaster, and the mom pulled me aside after the fact and was like, Steven or something like that. One of the kids said that you said some swear words when you were on that roller coaster, because I was like, oh shit, or something like that. She was like, that's unacceptable. We can't have that. And like she gave me a Bible that I had for a really long time, and I used to keep it in my car under my seat. Like I used to think like maybe if a cop found it, then they would be like, oh okay. Like I didn't think it protected me in any way. I just thought maybe I could use this to my advantage. Hey, look, Kev the pedo's here. That guy, Kev, he's a pedo. He's a proud pedo. Isn't that fucking weird? He's a J pedo. How gross is that? Um, but like, they would constantly try to push it on me. Constantly. She just, and you think about it, this bitch is living in judgment. She's judging me, judging my mother, judging the way you need this. You're not good enough the way you are. You need this. And I still to this day, I don't understand how real adults hear that shit and believe it.
Like I said, coming from a perspective of a free thinker, most people are not. And there's no way you could put a non-free thinker, you can't put yourself in their shoes because you just don't look at you. It's crazy to not question. Most people, like the Garys of the world, they don't question. They don't want to question. They're happy following
they question lots of shit. They question lots and lots of shit. How these gay guys? Why are these gay guys?
Yeah, well, they have a large support staff for that.
I get it. But that just shows that you have the capability. No, I mean that's a free thinker. You're definitely a free thinker. If you see gay stuff and you go, "What the fuck?" You're free thinking. I'm not understand. I totally support gay everything. Like I'm all about it. Do I get it? No. No. No, dicks are gross. Dudes are gross. Like you scratch your balls in the morning and smell your fingers. Think about like girls find that shit. Your natural stink is a pheromone, and they've. I mean, I'm so against perfumes and colognes and you putting stinks on you,
Loony.
you covering up your stink. I mean, it's one thing if you have, like you're a teenage boy, right? And you're just going through your little musk phase and whatnot. But our natural pheromones should attract each other, you know? My wife, even though she had a hysterectomy a long time ago, she still goes through the motions sort of sometimes,
I
like
saw
her.
my ovaries, so the chemicals are still being produced.
Right. So there you go. The chemicals are still being produced. And it's like we know that she's gonna be there in that, like, she'll be like, why are you messing with me so much? Why are you oh. She's releasing pheromones that I'm just attracted to. I don't know what it is. But it's like that's how we should be. You doth protest too much. Well, you can regurgitate things, I guess. I don't really know. I just look at like I want answers. I say this, like, if everything was cool, right? If people lived a good life, everyone was happy, you know, uh, there wasn't a genocide taking place right now. The average everyday person wasn't struggling in their lives, not just financially, but emotionally, spiritually. Like, there are tons and tons of people who absolutely believe in God and their lives are in shambles. And if it wasn't for that, like if everything was just, good Christian, hello Christian, and that kind of, what could I say?
The numbers of the congregations,
There's a famous quote: "If everyone in the room is thinking the same thing, no one is thinking." That's really good. Sorry.
the church numbers, the congregation numbers are so down
Right.
compared to 10, 15 years ago.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy. They're
Yet,
starting to
yet a lot of
scramble.
those people still believe. They still assign themselves an identity. It's like when people say to me, "What about the Jays who stand up to Israel and stuff?" Like, yeah, well, at the end of the day, they still call me Goyim, right? Right? They still believe they're born superior. And they might be as nice as they fucking want to my face, and they might be nice in general. But unless they're, like, aggressively condemning the disgusting shit done in the name of that religion, they're a part of the problem. You're a part of the fucking problem. Sunday morning, wake and bake. There you go. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Have yourself a nice fat bowl. Understand, like it's all put on us. Literally nothing you believe, 99% of what you believe is given to you. You don't know. Literally, I live with this woman, right? I've been with this woman for 20 fucking years. There's plenty of shit about her I don't know. There's plenty of shit, the way she thinks about something, friends she has, you know, ideas, whatever. There are things that she chooses not to tell me. There are things that haven't, we haven't it just hasn't come up. But there are other things that she just chooses not to tell me. And, I don't have a problem. I'm not saying there's wrong with that. I'm just saying I can't say, oh, I know my wife inside and out, 100%, blah, 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 blah. I don't know her. Look at that. Look, you get these square buildings, and then you get that thing that they built 150, 200 years ago. No pictures were taken. Makes sense. Makes sense. Like, we're seeing, we see what they want us to see. We believe what they want us to believe. And forever I've been just saying the same shit. Like, How many of your beliefs are yours? If you say, "Oh, I fucking hate gay people," blah blah blah, why? Why? Do you really hate them? Like, really, you want bad things to happen to them? They have nothing to do with your life whatsoever, but you have energy put out to hate them? Or is it that you just kind of think it's gross?
Well, I remember, and I think, everybody probably has a story like this. But I remember being it was in high school, it wasn't middle school, beginnings of high school. And, you have your group of friends that you hang
It's
out
all
with or
black and
whatever.
white.
Uh-huh. And, somebody would be like, oh man, I love this band. And, they play the music. And you really watch, like, everybody in the group that isn't familiar with it, like, oh man, this is great. Oh, and it's like, I remember sitting there. It was one of the really alternative bands that Jennifer down the street was playing it. And I'm watching everybody going, oh, this is great. Oh, this is. I'm like, this is actually really shitty music. But am I supposed to like it because all these people like it? Like, I felt really awkward because
Exactly.
I didn't like it. But I'm watching these people saying they like it and going, do you really like it? Or is it just because she's trying to influence you to like it?
Well,
And
I mean, there's other parts to it. Do people want a banger?
No, it was all girls.
Oh. Well, I mean, there's a lot. A lot of it has to do with insecurity.
You should like it, so then you do. That's how
More
commercials
so,
work.
you don't want to go against the crowd and have them turn on you. Like, if you're a girl, right? I would hate to be a girl because it seems like it doesn't take very much for your friends to just flip on you and now you're the slut, you're the bitch, you're the this, that,
They
that.
absolutely do.
So I think that
Horrible.
if I know that and I'm a dude, girls know that. So the last thing you want to do is, put yourself in the position where you're the black sheep. You're the one that no, I don't like the same thing you guys like. Oh, well, what's wrong with you? You stupid. Like, that's how we've been trained to respond to that. And if the person that's playing the music hears that you don't like it, they've been programmed to think you're insulting them.
Yes.
And it's just such a we've been made to be so insecure. And it comes with a population that says, well, if a person doesn't like what you're saying, then you shouldn't say it. Because what you're saying might hurt someone's feelings.
Well, and that girl that was introducing the weird ass music, she turned out to be my sister. Maybe a little more girly, but not much.
Oh, I was like, what?
She turned out to be my sister. So it's like, okay, well, no wonder you liked a bunch of fucking weird shit that I didn't like. You clearly have different likes from the beginning. Like,
exactly.
All of it.
I don't like girl music.
Oh my god, that girly pop shit.
Taylor Swift.
Oh.
I think Taylor Swift, I'm sure she makes incredible songs in that genre. Like, if you like that genre of music, then Taylor Swift is probably one of the best at it. But as a dude, I want to listen to some girl sing songs about how dumb dudes are or how much she loves a dude or something like that. Sorry, it just doesn't work for me. It's just how we are. I mean, and there's nothing to see. One of the biggest issues is that, like, it's almost like if you don't like what everybody else, there's something wrong with you, right? Like, oh my God, you don't like this? Ugh.
They would act like they had this little bond and that you just weren't part of it. Like,
things that can't
really
be known or
nasty.
explained.
That's why my best friends were guys, because they didn't do that stupid shit.
Well,
They did other stupid shit, but not that hurtful, mean, stupid shit.
I think a lot of the stuff that we accept is because you said people can't accept that there are things that can't be known or explained. I think a lot more is known and can be explained.
We just don't have access.
If the Goyim overthrow the Jays that control the narrative. That's the part that you don't like that we don't get. We only know what we're allowed to know. Even you conspiracy theory, even the Tartaria people. The Tartaria is a great example of this. I think Tartaria is quite possibly the greatest destruction they've given us. Because Tartaria is this forever validation. You are right. You go trying to look anything up Tartaria wise, and you're gonna find out that you're right. You, the person going against the grain, the person thinking differently. It doesn't often happen that when you think differently, you can easily, in almost 100% of the time, like prove that you're right. A lot of it comes down to sort of common sense and whatnot. But when you're talking about Tartaria, the conspiracy is that you don't believe it, right? Tartaria is all over maps. It's all over historical record. It was clearly a big deal. And then when you look at the current Russian flag and how their shield has their white Templar knight sort of stepping on the Tartaria flag, there's no real denial here. How can you... Denying it is stupid. So then the next question is, well, why the fuck weren't we taught about Tartaria? I never even heard that word. I know I had heard about the Tartars and stuff. Like, you heard Tartary, and you would hear those kind of words periodically in history class. But it really, I mean, like, I heard the Rosicrucians before. But there wasn't any, every single year in history from like 7th grade on, we did a whole month worth of World War II history and the Nazis and all that other shit. Like they would smash that shit in our heads for a month at least every single year. And yet the Tartars and shit, we never heard anything about that. And it shouldn't even be this argument. Like, it's really fucking weird, right? Like, clearly, go to any fucking major city. Look up any major city. Go look up Chicago. A lot of people focus on New York because it's the most obvious. Go look at Chicago. I mean, New York is one of those things where, like, you sort of think of New York as like Michigan. Michigan is a big landmass, but there are lots of little islands all around Michigan. Well, New York is the same thing. New York is full of harbors and waterways and all these other things. And the oldest pictures that you can find, all that shit's tamed. They all have retaining walls. They all have, and it's concrete. And you just, well, how did you do that? Especially if the water comes up to the level of the concrete or like a foot below it. That's deep. You jump off that concrete, it's not like it's a gradual decline. Check out a book, Weird Scenes Inside the Canyon. Yeah, the Laurel Canyon. Oh, dude, I like this guy. Johnny Day, where have you been, man? Yeah, Laurel Canyon is something that everybody should know about. When I was growing up, I was I was literally like, if Michael hadn't sort of made fun of me for it, which is, look at how, like, it, us ripping on each other is how we sort of police things. That's just, it's how people learn what's right and what's wrong. If you do shit that gets you made fun of, well, it's probably because you're doing something weird, right? But I was gonna get a Doors tattoo, the Doors, because I love the Doors. Jim Morrison was my guy. And my buddy was like, "You're gonna get a Doors tattoo?" And I was like, Yeah, that is kind of weird, isn't it? Yeah.
I think about that now. My ex-husband, one of his first tattoos was God, the Godsmack son.
Oh my God.
He got it right on his shoulder, big. And I just wonder, like, do you still like that tattoo? I mean, I like
Godsmack.
Godsmack. You know, I like them, but I'm not gonna put their fucking shit on my body.
You're not going to advertise for them.
Right.
So my wife, finally, this year for Christmas, I opened my presents, and there's a couple of Lions things, but everything else has no labels on it. And I'm like, finally, no label. I don't want to advertise for anybody. I don't give a fuck about you. Your stupid ass, you know, your sweatshop that made the shirt to begin with. Like, I don't give a fuck about your fucking piece of shit company. I'm not trying to make you any more money. But like the Doors, Jim, like I was under the spell of the movie. My Jim Morrison is actually Val Kilmer. Like, that's who I think of when I think of Jim Morrison. And that movie was when I was a kid, when I was a teenager. That movie was amazing. I watch it now and I'm like, wow, what a whiny little brat. What a spoiled little whiny brat.
Which movie?
Jim Morrison, The Doors.
Oh yeah. Oh totally.
And so I was so grateful I didn't get that tattoo. But the more you look into it, well, turns out Jim Morrison's dad was Admiral Morrison. They in the movie they make it. He tells everybody his parents are dead and blah blah, blah, and they just do everything they can. Oliver Stone does everything he can to keep that part a secret. But Jim Morrison's dad, Admiral Morrison, was a super high ranking naval commander, and was the admiral on the ship that was used in the Gulf of Tonkin false flag. So we're talking about a man who's involved in the highest levels of government conspiracy. His son comes out of nowhere. Like, again, it's so funny how they tell you, you know, you got to chase the American dream. You want to be a musician, you got to get in a van and go around the country building an audience. I mean, think about how people even did that before there were cell phones and shit. How would you even set up gigs? You would have to cold call, cold call bars, and the bar would have to then book you sight unseen. Just think about how difficult that truly must have been back then. And you're supposed to believe that you can achieve those goals if you just get out there and you work hard enough. The American dream is that if you work really hard, you can achieve anything. But that's not what they do. And we don't ask things like, how does a band that's making a bunch of anti-government music get a very, very lucrative record contract deal given to them? Especially when you know about how the government interferes with the entertainment industry, the protocol, the what the fuck?
What?
I said stop. What the fuck? The 30s. I can't. It starts with a P. I can't remember the thing from the 30s when they changed all the fucking media. What the fuck? Why am I not brain farting right here?
Prohibition.
Whatever. But another favorite example is Crosby, Stills, Nash. You know, this is a group that is a super group that just sort of formulated. They were guys in other bands. And all of these guys are in bands where, you know, they never had lessons. They just were given a guitar. They figured out how to play it, and they won like a talent show. And then all of a sudden, they're in the limelight. Well, the Crosby is from like the Mayflower Crosbys. His family line goes all the way back. He's royalty, blah blah blah. Comes from royalty. Both Stills and Nash, their dads worked in not only for the U.S. military, but in the mind control sector of the government. Yep, Jim's dad helped start the Vietnam War. Well, helped get us involved. But it's like we don't know that these things exist. And the Laurel Canyon thing is where, all of this sort of comes from. Because Laurel Canyon is a neighborhood north of Hollywood where the military is said to have a studio that rivals anything in Hollywood. And that's where like a lot of the footage that we see actually comes from this Laurel Canyon area or around it. It's amazing how much Afghanistan and all those places look a lot like California. But yeah, the Laurel Canyon conspiracy is absolutely something everybody needs to look into, and I need to spend more time on it. And I'll maybe do that tomorrow. I don't have access to my phone right now, or else I would. But just understand, like, there's more to it than you realize. I'm really, really stuck on Epstein, but not in the way that you guys might be. Good morning, man. Hope you're having a great morning. Soundman Studios, I am, and I would love to hook up with you. We need I need to record some lyrics. Absolutely. I've been writing a bunch of songs lately. Strange. That's what I tell you guys all the time. It goes away and then it comes back, and when it's gone, I don't try to force it. It's like an engine, right? When it's gone, I'll go out to the shed every once in a while, I'll turn it over, go write a couple of lines. Nah, this is crap, and then stop. And then when it starts back up strong. All those iconic band members knew each other when they were kids growing up together on military bases. Well, the whole concept of a hippie, like the whole counterculture revolution was manufactured. So you had World War I, and then you had all of the kids who we sort of forget. Like there's that woman doing this with the yes we can, women power, women suffrage, all that shit. That existed twice. We only really hear about it in the first one, or in the second one, but it happened with World War I as well. All the men were gone, being killed, and what they did was, and then you lie many times. Most of the time you talk about are facts. Just think you're crazy, while you are. That's just the drug. And guys, he only smokes weed and has free time to talk about what he wants. And then when he knows, if you don't like it, leave. No, they don't gotta leave. I don't want anybody to leave. These dumb shits build my numbers. Make it happen, man. Like, share, and sub. I don't need people to agree with me. I'd rather hear about what you disagree with. That's how we get better. That's how we learn. If I'm wrong, tell me what I'm wrong about. Don't tell me that I am wrong. Tell me what and how I'm wrong. See, like people don't. I'm just, a lot of these, the other side, they're bots. It's Israeli bots. I wish people would understand. Team Jorge exists. And Team Jorge continues to exist. It wasn't like it was disbanded. And it's just one of many, many Israeli black ops organizations that they use to control social media. And I mean, It's not like I would love to know how anybody could disagree with me on that. What evidence do you have to show you the opposite? And it's going back to the Laurel Canyon, going back to the hippie thing. So they by the time the Vietnam War happened, a lot of the people like in our country had experienced two fucking world wars. Their grandfather, if he was still around, was this mean motherfucker. You know? Lots of those old weird guys who had shell shock, who had PTSD really fucking bad, and nobody did anything about it. They were just supposed to get over it. They were real men. And so they and what they would do is they convinced us that the romantic thing for women to do is to hook up with some guy, not even married, hook up with some guy, get pregnant, and then wait for him to come back from war. And the problem is, in a lot of those situations, the mom and the kid, that was all they had for 5-6 years, 10 years. And then the dad would finally come home and he'd be this shell-shocked fucking PTSD weirdo who, tried to run his house like a military and beating the wife. And like, people knew the horrors of war. And when they were trying to get into the Vietnam War, they were running into problems because it was the intellectual side that was opposing the war. It was all the people that grew up with their fucking weirdo dads and weirdo grandfathers and horror stories. And they were like, no. We don't want to do this again. It's all bullshit anyway. So the Jays that control the narrative had their little think tank, and they thought, okay, so how can we make this happen? And they came up with the character of the hippie. What do we want? We want a man who stands up straight, sticks out his chest, short hair, no facial hair. A robot. We want robots. So what's the opposite of the robot? Think about when I think about a hippie, there's this image that pops in my head. And it's this dude with brown hair, and he's sort of hunched over, and he's got a green headband on. And he's like, it's this cartoon picture. I wish I knew what it was from, but it's always, when I think hippie, it's like caricature, right? And okay, so what do we want? We don't want someone with long hair. We don't want someone with facial hair. We don't want someone who smokes. We don't want someone who... Drinking is okay. You're allowed to drink, but no pot, no this, no that, no music. We don't want you listening to music. And so they create this hippie character that they then put out there, and they say, okay, you're either somebody who's against the war, and you're one of these hippies, these dirty hippies, or you're a person who has their life together and you support the war. And they were able to manipulate us with that. I got church here in a few. Hope to catch you. Oh no. Why would you go to church? Yuck. That shit is gross. Do you not understand? That is J programming. No questions asked. It's 100% a false narrative created by the Jays to control us into thinking they're better than us. What?
Just made the cat joke.
Nathan, stop it.
Calling on him.
Jesus. My God. Gotta tell on my brother. They only give you two options. False dichotomy. Right. That's what it is with everything. Literally. You're either a man or a woman. You're either gay or you're straight. You're either black or you're white. Christian or Muslim. I mean, really, because there's three choices in that regard, but you don't get to choose the one. You have to be born into that one. You can choose, but you won't be treated right. You know, it's only Jesus or Big Bang. You know, like it's all Republican, Democrat. You know, it's all about the two choices: slap with the left hand or slap with the right. Pick one. And instead of us saying, I don't think I want to get slapped anymore. Hey, do you want to get slapped? No. You want no. So you're gonna have to slap the three of us. Oh, five of us. Oh, seven of us. You're gonna have to slap all of us. You try slapping all of us. Come on, you old goofy Jay. I mean, think about how like disgusting Trump is. He's disgusting. There's nothing about you don't know anybody that looks like that. I've seen lots of old men that look like Biden. I've seen old people. I've seen people kind of look like Obama. I've seen all kinds of shit but this giant big head, orange, weird haired. How come nobody talks about that? He does that like a meth head. Every time he talks. And he's got super, super effeminate mannerisms, and nobody talks about it. Trump, when he gets going, his hand gets a flurrying. Yes. He gets a swishing and swaying. It's really uncomfortable to watch. He's disgusting. It's two opinions. Also believe in religion or atheism. Well, but is atheism even really allowed? I mean, like when you talk to the average person, like, the worst thing you can be is an atheist. They act like it's the atheists that have been around shooting people. When was the last time there was an atheist shooting? When was the last time an atheist, did anything? Did anything negative? But it's I don't even like to say I'm an atheist. I call myself a Zionist, actually. Because I just, it's like I don't want your stupid labels. You don't get to label me. I get to label me. And people always say to me, well, my wife even says it, well, you have to believe in something bigger than yourself. Of course I believe in something bigger than myself. It's just not some goofy fairy tale. I believe in humanity. Humanity is much bigger than myself. I believe in people. I believe we are just scratching the surface of what we're capable of. I believe there are a lot of examples of us being capable of a lot more that still exist on this planet, everywhere. I think one of the greatest, it's, sure, all those crazy builds, especially like in India, man, if you look at the ancient architecture from India, inverted pyramids and shit, like, it's like a joke. Again, I'm supposed to believe that donkey people did this with no tools and shit? Really? But to me, the most like insane sort of proof that something else used to be here are the star forts. Star forts are just the fact that they're all over the world. Are we to believe that people that never talked to each other, that had no contact, built the same fucking design of star forts all over the place? All over there's a star fort that's off the bottom of Florida, out in the Keys. It's an island star fort out in the Keys, where they have hurricanes every fucking year. Although, if you look up the history of hurricanes, history of tornadoes, history of earthquakes, there's surprisingly few. You would think people would have been talking about the God finger coming down and scratching the earth like a tornado does. Nope. Strangely enough. Nope.
Is that what it's supposed to be, God's finger?
That's what I always think of it as. If you want to talk about God, that's God right there. Fuck you.
You're gonna make your cows fly through the air.
Asshole God. Well, there's some of you that don't believe in me, so I'm going to kill all of you. Because I love you. It's because I love you. Give me some money, I love you. You know what, I'm going to do a quick reset, so hopefully you join me. I just want to see what happens when I change the title. So, like, share, and sub. I'll be right back. I'm just going to reset the video. Pedophiles, kill yourself. Oh, go get your free download. Link is in the description. Pedophiles, kill yourself.